And here in the U.S., it is nearly the end of summer school holidays. That means back to school shopping. But inflation hasn't taken a recess. The National Retail Federation estimates parents will shell out $41.5 billion for school supplies this school year, a fresh record, up from less than $40 billion last year. Families with children up to high school age plan to spend an average of $890. That's up $25 from last year. Inflation is part of it, but also spending on big ticket items like electronics, nearly 70% compared to last year's 65% of back to school shoppers expect to buy computers and electronic accessories this year. For more on all of this spending, let's bring in our guest, Jennifer Steele, an associate professor at the School of Education at American University. Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us. It is a lot of pressure to get the kids ready for school. Parents definitely feel it and expected to shell out a record amount this year. As we mentioned, $4.4 billion more than 2021. It's a staggering amount, and college expenses even higher. $94 billion is the estimate for this year, another record. Electronics are a big factor, but what else is going on here that's driving up costs so much in this sector?
It's been the supply chain problems that have affected all of the manufacturing sectors are continuing to have effects in the school supply sector. So this year, for example, one of the biggest increase in costs has been paper products, which, you know, if you're buying school supplies for kids, they need notebooks, they need folders, they need all kinds of paper and pens, and those things are up 29% since pre-pandemic. So families are not feeling a lot of relief, and they are feeling a lot of financial stress.
And then what are some of the trends that we're seeing as far as how and when parents are shopping to cut down on some of those really exorbitant costs tied to back to school spending? And what tips do you have for some smart savings?
Well, parents do have options. And I think one thing that they can do if it's not too late is reuse those notebooks from last year, because that's good for the environment and it's good for their pocketbooks. So if they haven't thrown away some of the half-used notebooks from last year, tear out the old pages and keep them, keep using them. Sometimes you can reuse those backpacks, but often we know that our kids want shiny new things when they start the school year. So when that is the case, parents can shop at dollar stores, shop those back to school sales. If you're in Maryland, you can shop tax-free school supplies this week through Saturday. DC and Virginia no longer are doing tax-free holidays this year. And the other thing I recommend for parents is using technology, such as the Buy Nothing app. So with the Buy Nothing app, you go online and people give things away in your neighborhood. You pick them up, and you can also give items away, including pens, pencils, and school supplies.
That's a really great tip, Jennifer. What are you seeing as far as people going into stores or shopping earlier or versus shopping online?
I think shopping online continues to be a major trend, in part because the bargains are sometimes there to be found on Amazon. And so the other thing to bear in mind is that for many families, it is an extra hardship to face back to school costs. So I would recommend that people connect with churches, go online and look for free back to school events. The District of Columbia is doing one on August 25th. And folks who go to these back to school events can get free backpacks full of supplies, and connecting with churches and local community organizations is really important.
And you know, you struck a chord there, because some families, it really is a burden. They just can't afford it all. So what impact does that have then on school resources and what they have to come with? And then teachers who, you know, so often we hear these stories, they take some of this burden on themselves to make sure kids have what they need to start school off on the right foot.
Teachers spend a lot out of pocket. And what I would recommend is that families who do have resources and can provide extra to the schools, send some extra packets of school supplies, Kleenex, pencils, paper, notebooks to school with your kids for the teacher, so that they have extra things on hand. There are websites for this, like Donors Choose, but that can be complicated. So I recommend dropping things off at the school office, and for schools to partner with churches and community organizations so that families that want to donate are able to do so that teachers don't have to carry this burden themselves.
And final question, really quickly, Jennifer, only about 30 seconds left. I want to ask you, you did say that supplies are still tight, but they're not as tight as we saw a couple of years ago when it was virtually impossible to get things like laptops, electronics, even things like notebooks. Do you see that supply crunch easing, and do you see prices normalizing at any point anytime soon?
Well, we do know that inflation, even on school supplies, is less this year than it has been, about half of what it has been the last couple of years, which is a good sign. It's about 3% this year compared to last year in inflation, and that's an improvement over the 6 and 7% we've seen, which does bode well in the long run.
All right, Jennifer Steele, thank you so much.
Thank you.